All right, so you want to launch this business down under. Australia, huh?
Yeah.
Sunshine, beaches, and a whole lot of entrepreneurial spirit.
Yeah.
And we've got some info here tailored specifically for launching a business in Australia. It looks like most of it comes from Now Technology Systems,
Okay.
a company that specializes in, you guessed it, web design and IT.
Yeah.
So they might be doing a bit of, subtle marketing here,
Right. Right.
which is understandable, but
Yeah.
let's see what nuggets of wisdom we can extract.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And, being a little cautious is smart, but from what I've seen, there's some really solid advice in here.
Okay.
Before we even get to websites, they talk about something really fundamental. Vision.
Okay.
They actually use this example of a bustling Melbourne cafe,
Yeah.
which I think is pretty helpful. It's not just about what you're doing, but why. Why Australia? Why this business? Why now?
Yeah, it's like that saying, if you don't know where you're going, any road will get you there.
Right.
But in this case, we want to make sure you're on the right road, especially in a unique market like Australia.
Right. Exactly. And that's where market research comes in. They emphasize this a lot, and for a good reason. Australia has a really diverse population, unique regulations. It's got its own distinct business culture. Understanding all of that isn't just, a suggestion.
Right.
It's essential.
Yeah.
Take the national competition policy, for example.
Okay.
You familiar with this one?
Refresh my memory. I know we went over this in the pre-show notes, but for our listeners.
Yeah, so this is all about making sure everyone has a fair shot. It's about preventing monopolies, encouraging healthy competition.
Okay, so break that down for us a little bit. What does that actually look like in practice for someone who's starting a business?
Good point, yeah. Basically, it means that as a new business, you actually have a fighting chance. You're not just going to get squashed by the big guys.
Right.
This translates into a market with, genuine opportunities for growth, for innovation, even if you're up against businesses that have been around for a while.
So it's not just about knowing the rules of the game, but understanding the dynamics of the whole playing field.
100%, yeah. And another thing they mention is ABLIS.
ABLIS. Okay.
The Australian Business License and Information Service.
Great.
Think of it like your roadmap to making sure you're operating legally.
Gotcha.
And I know paperwork might not be the most thrilling part of starting a business,
Right.
but getting this right from the get-go, super important.
Yeah, and this is where a resource like ABLIS would be super helpful.
Exactly. It cuts through all the confusion, all the red tape. They guide you on everything like registering your business, what licenses and permits you need, that kind of thing. By the way, have you given any thought to your legal structure yet?
As in?
Sole trader, partnership, company, they each have different implications, especially in Australia.
Oh, for sure. And we're going to unpack all of that right after this quick break. Be right back. So we're back and ready to untangle this whole legal structure thing.
Yeah, it's one of those things that can seem like a bit of a black box.
Totally. And I think a lot of people, they get caught up in the excitement of the idea and sort of push this part aside.
Right. It's easy to do, but honestly, getting the legal structure right from the beginning, it can save you so many headaches down the road.
Absolutely. So let's break it down for our listeners. You mentioned a few different options: sole trader, partnership, company. What are the key differences someone should be thinking about?
All right, well, let's start with the simplest one, sole trader. As the name suggests, it's for folks going solo. Really easy to set up, which is a big plus if you're just starting out. The catch is you and the business. Legally speaking, you're one and the same.
Oh, I see.
So any debts the business racks up, those are your personal debts too.
Okay, so that's a pretty big consideration, especially here in Australia.
Yeah, you really need to be comfortable with that level of risk. Now, partnerships are interesting. Basically, it's what it sounds like. 2 or more people team up.
Makes sense.
But even though it seems straightforward, there are some legal nuances you have to be mindful of, especially operating in Australia. You're going to want to clearly define each person's roles and responsibilities right from the get-go. Trust me, the last thing you want is a disagreement down the line that throws your whole business into a tailspin.
Yeah, it's like a business marriage,
Yeah.
A prenup is probably a good idea.
Exactly. Communication and clarity are key. Now, the other end of the spectrum, you've got companies. More complex, but a whole different ballgame.
Right. Setting up a company, that's like the big leagues, isn't it?
Kind of, yeah. In Australia, forming a company means you're creating a separate legal entity.
Okay.
So the big advantage here is limited liability. Your personal assets are protected if the business goes south.
Got it. So it's like a safety net.
Exactly, but that protection comes at a cost. Setting up and running a company, it's much more complex. More paperwork, more compliance requirements. You'll probably want to talk to an accountant and a lawyer to make sure you're dotting all your I's and crossing your T's.
Okay, so it's all about finding that balance,
Yeah.
right? The level of risk you're comfortable with, the complexity you can handle.
Exactly. Now, shifting gears a bit, let's talk about something now technology systems kept hammering on: branding and online presence.
Yeah, they were really passionate about that.
And, in this day and age, it's not just about having a business card and a phone number. A strong online presence, it's non-negotiable.
Especially in a place like Australia that's so digitally connected.
Exactly. But it goes deeper than just having a website, right? It's
Yeah.
about creating an experience for your target market, a brand that resonates with them, draws them in.
Okay, so like they said, a well-designed website. What makes a good website, in your opinion?
Well, think of it this way. In a lot of cases, your website is going to be the first point of contact someone has with your business, right?
It's like your digital storefront.
Exactly. And you know what they say about first impressions. So if your website is clunky, outdated, hard to navigate, that's going to turn people off.
Yeah, it's like walking into a shop and it's a complete mess.
Right. You're going to turn around and walk out.
Hmm.
Your website needs to be clean, easy to navigate.
Mobile friendly, too.
Oh, absolutely. So many people are browsing on their phones these days. If your site isn't optimized for mobile, you're missing out. And then there's SEO.
Ah, yes. SEO, search engine optimization. Always hear about that, but never really understood it.
So SEO is all about making sure your website pops up on that first page of Google when someone searches for, well, whatever it is you offer.
Right. It's like prime real estate in the digital world.
100%. If you're buried on page 5 of the search results, no one's going to find you.
So less about magic, more about strategy.
Exactly. It takes time, it takes effort, but trust me, it's worth it. And then there's Google Ads. It's going to be really powerful, especially when you're just starting out.
Okay, what are those all about?
So with Google Ads, you're basically paying to have your website appear at the top of the search results for specific keywords.
Got it. So if someone searches for, say, best coffee Melbourne, and you've got a cafe, boom, your ad pops up.
Right. It's a way to get in front of potential customers at the exact moment they're looking for what you have to offer.
It's like targeted advertising on steroids. Okay, we've covered a lot of ground here. We've talked legal structures, we've talked branding, online presence, but there's one big piece of the puzzle we haven't touched on yet, and that's the financial side of things.
Ah, yes, the money question.
Now, technology systems, they mentioned financing, but they kept it pretty high level. So let's dive in a bit deeper, right? You know what they say, it takes money to make money. So what are our options here?
Well, you've got a few different routes you can take.
Okay, lay it on me.
So self-funding, that's always an option.
Bootstrapping, as they call it.
Exactly. You're using your own savings to get the business up and running. A lot of people like this approach, especially in the beginning, because it means you retain full control.
Yeah, you're not beholden to investors or anything like that.
Exactly. But of course, not everyone has a huge nest egg saved up.
That's me. Definitely not independently wealthy over here.
Yeah.
So what about those who, don't have a ton of cash lying around? What are their options?
Well, venture capital is huge right now, especially in Australia.
Okay, venture capital. So that's basically finding investors who are willing to back your idea.
Right. They invest their money, and in exchange, they typically get equity in your company.
Okay, so they're taking a gamble on you, and if things go well, they share the profits.
Exactly. And for a lot of startups, this can be a game changer because not only are they getting the capital that they desperately need, but they're also getting access to the investors' expertise and their network.
So it's kind of like a mentorship relationship as well.
Absolutely. And that can be invaluable, especially in the early stages when you're just trying to find your feet. Now, another option that's often overlooked is government grants and programs.
Oh yeah, tell me about those.
So Australia actually has quite a few programs designed specifically to support small businesses and startups.
Really? I feel like people talk about those, but they always seem a little too good to be true.
Yeah, it's not exactly free money. You usually have to meet certain criteria and go through an application process.
Sure, there are always hoops to jump through.
But it can be well worth the effort, especially if you're in a sector that the government is particularly keen on supporting. They really do want to see businesses like yours succeed.
That's awesome. All right, so we've talked about funding. Let's bring it back to online presence, since I know our friends at Now Technology Systems are big proponents of that.
Yeah, and I have to agree with them on this one. Your online presence, it's crucial these days. It's the first thing people see. It's how they form their impression of you.
First impressions are everything.
Exactly. And it's not enough to just have a website or be on social media. You need to stand out, especially in a busy market like Australia. You need to capture people's attention.
Okay, so how do we do that?
Well, it all starts with knowing who you're trying to reach. Who's your ideal customer? Where do they hang out online? What are their interests?
Okay, so define your target audience.
Exactly. Once you know who you're talking to, then you can start crafting a message that resonates with them. It's about telling a story, sharing your passion, letting your unique personality shine through.
So authenticity is key.
100%. People can spot a fake from a mile away. Be genuine, be engaging, and most importantly, offer something of value.
And that's what it's all about at the end of the day, right? Providing something that people need, something that solves a problem, something that makes their lives better.
Absolutely. And if you can do that, then you're well on your way to building a successful business.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Well, folks, there you have it. We've covered a lot of ground today, from crafting the perfect business plan to navigating the wild world of online marketing and everything in between. Starting a business, it's a journey. It's going to be challenging. It's going to be rewarding. And sometimes it's going to be downright terrifying. But hey, that's all part of the adventure, right? The important thing is to take that first step, to keep learning, to keep growing, and to never, ever give up on your dreams. So get out there, chase those entrepreneurial dreams, and who knows, maybe one day we'll be featuring your success story right here on the show. Until next time, keep diving deep.